Hey guys, so today we're going to be using MATLAB to solve systems of linear equations of 2 and 3 variables. So the first thing we're going to have to do is to open up MATLAB. That's going to be posted on my worksheet on my wiki spaces. We're going to be using two different equations. The equation 1 will be 3x minus y equals 7 and 2x plus 3y equals 1. Then the second system will be 7x plus 5y minus 3z equals 16. 3x minus 5y plus 2z equals negative 8, and 5x plus 3y minus 7z equals 0. So I'll just call those equations 1 and equation 2. Now to start out, we're going to have to define our variables. So once you're in MATLAB, we're going to type in syms xyz and hit enter. Now that says that we're going to be using the three different variables x, y, and z in all of our following equations. So the first equation, we'll type in equation A, which is A equals 3 times x minus y equals 7, and hit enter. Now we put the equals sign in there twice, because we already used one equals sign to say what A was. Now we're going to type in our second equation, B. So we'll say B equals 2 times x plus 3 times y equals 1, and hit enter. So that should be our equation B. So now we're going to solve these equations. We will say sol, S-O-L, equals solve, S-O-L-V-E, parenthesis, bracket, A, comma, B, closing bracket, comma, bracket, x, comma, y, bracket, closing parenthesis, semicolon. Now, this says we're going to be solving A and B in terms of x and y. Now, the end of this line, we're going to hold shift and hit enter to move down to our second row. But if you hit enter all by itself, it executes all the commands leading up to that point, but we don't want to do that quite yet. Before we do that, we're going to say x sol, so x sol equals sol period x. Then hit shift enter. Then we'll say y sol equals sol period y. And now we can enter all by itself to execute all the commands. This tells us that our x solution is 2 and y solution is negative 1. Now I'm going to want you to solve, or try to solve, equation 2 all by yourself. So in a minute you can go ahead and pause the video. If you solve it all by yourself, you don't have to watch my way of doing this solution. You can move on to the matrix way to do it. The matrix way to do equation A, I mean. But if you get lost or need a little bit of help, you can follow along with the video. So go ahead, pause the video, try it yourself, and then you can either watch the way I do it, or you can move on to our next activity. So we'll define our new equation as equation C. So we'll say C equals 7 times x plus 5 times y minus 3 times z equals 16. Enter. Equation D equals 3 times x minus 5 times y plus 2 times z equals negative 8. Hit enter. And E to equal 5 times x plus 3 times y minus 7 times z equals 0. So we have our equations C, D, and E. We'll say SOL equals solve, parenthesis bracket, C, comma, D, comma, E, bracket. Now be careful not to put in A, B, and C there, because we have our three new variable equations, C, D, and E. Then we'll type in a comma, bracket x comma y comma z, closing bracket, closing parenthesis, semicolon. Hit shift enter. X sol will equal sol period x. Y sol will be sol period y. Shift enter. And z sol will equal sol period z. Now hit enter by itself. And it will return that x is 1, y is 3, and z is 2. So now we're going to be solving these equations using matrices. If you remember linear algebra at all, we are saying, remember that a times x equals b. But our variable matrix solved for x would be a inverse times b. So now let's just see an example about it. It'll be a lot easier once we actually see an example. So we're going to need to use a new variable. So we'll say that is f. So we'll say f equals bracket. I'm referring back to equation 1. We'll say 3 space negative 1. And the semicolon will move us down to the second row. And the second row will be 2 and 3. Then close the bracket and hit enter. Now we'll see that F is a 2 by 2 matrix of 3, negative 1, 2, 3. Now that's going to equal 7 and 1. So we'll call that G. So we'll say G equals bracket 7 semicolon 1, closing bracket, and hit enter. So in this example, our x and y would be F inverse times G. So we'll go ahead and say inverse I and V of F times G. And that says our answer is 2, negative 1. Now that should correlate with the way we did it above. And we can see by looking up here, our x solution is 2 and our y solution is negative 1. So in my opinion, this way is a lot easier. I want you to go ahead, try doing equation 2 by doing that. And if you don't have any problems, nice job. But if you want to come back and see how I do it, feel free to do so. So we're going to need to use 2 more variables. We'll say h. So h equals bracket 7, 5, negative 3, semicolon to move to the second row. 3, negative 5, 2, semicolon to move to the third row. And 5, 3, negative 7, closing bracket, and hit enter. That should be a bracket, not a brace. There, that looks good. Now, so we'll define I as 16, semicolon, negative 8, semicolon, 0, closing bracket. I forgot to put an equal sign in there. That's alright. People make mistakes sometimes. Happens to me a lot. There, that looks better. So now in this example, it'll be h inverse times I. So we'll say I and V of h times I. That results in 1, 3, and 2, which matches to the previous way we did it, 1, 3, and 2. So nice job today, everybody.